All right,
We want
hi.
to welcome you all. Hey, this is Kate. Kate's going to come on here in just a second. Sorry, I just kind of want to introduce her really quickly just to let her know that she is wonderful, and she's going to talk to you guys here in just a second. Hand it over to you, Kate.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm trying to, there we go, paste an active link to the Dropbox on the screen, and I put it in the chat box as well. I also pushed out the progress report template example in file transfer. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if it prompted you to download that. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up, which is a good sign that we will go ahead and get started. Oh, it did it twice? I didn't even press the extra button. I guess it's very eager to get to you. So I'll introduce and tell you a little bit about myself real quick. I have a middle school math and science background as well as educational technology. I was lucky to intern with an educational technology department as I was getting my master's degree. I earned my bachelor's degree from The Ohio State University. I then went back to school and decided I wanted to become a teacher and got my master's in education from Mount Vernon Nazarene, also here in Ohio. I guess going along with that ed tech side, you guys will see I'm pretty geeky. I'm a Microsoft certified educator, so I'm big with Microsoft products, although I love Google as well. Michigan, that's okay. I will ignore that. I started here at Insight School of Ohio back in 2014 as a math teacher. I actually became the RTI coach for a short amount of time and then the academic administrator here in 2015. I'm married with 3 kids, and I also have a Beagle and a Bengal cat that are a big part of our family, and I am the one hiding back there in the picture. So to give you a little bit of background about my school and about this presentation, I come from Insight School of Ohio. We serve grades 6 through 12, and we serve what we consider at-risk students. So our students are really every variation of at-risk that you can think of, but basically they are at risk of dropping out of school due to either academic or just background circumstances. So the concerns that led to this project of these progress reports would be we have a large population of disengaged students and learning coaches, and we're constantly trying to figure out, how do we bring more kids to the classroom? How do we bring them more into, our school atmosphere? We also have received feedback in the past from families about, they want more communication around grades. We think that the grades, being published in D2L would be enough, but it's not. Like our learning coaches, they really do like that communication, especially more on the formal side. So our desire then was to communicate a school progress, or to communicate their progress and their grades formally with time to intervene and improve engagement in grades. So we always give out report cards, but that's after the fact. That's basically an autopsy. There's not much you can do about grades at that point. So we wanted something that would give them time to intervene and make a difference. And our other big push was to take away as little instructional time as possible and to create a streamlined process. So we don't want teachers outside of the classroom. As we're bringing kids into the class, we really protect our instructional time. So that was a big part of our goals here. So let me get to know a little bit more about all of you before we get started. So tell me a little bit about your background. Are you a general education teacher, special education teacher, administrator, or other? I kind of lumped the others together, but if you're an other, feel free to put in the chat what you do. Sorry, this is engaging students through progress reports. All right, so I'm going to publish. So if you guys haven't voted, go ahead and do so. I should have added instructional coaches. I knew I could have gotten an E in there. All right, so we have a large amount of gen ed teachers, about 11% special ed, and 5% admins, 5% others, and a group of nuns, which I would belong to that case there. I should have picked C. All right, and then another question is, what is your comfort level using Excel? And don't worry, let me clear out our answers. This presentation is for people of all comfort levels, so don't let that scare you away. But I'm just curious, what is your comfort level using Excel? Okay, I'm going to publish in just a minute. Go ahead and vote. It looks like there's a pretty wide range here. All right, and we have 15% know the basics. See the majority say they feel comfortable using it for their own needs. And a quarter of you feel comfortable helping others to use it for their needs. And a small 5% would consider themselves an advanced user. Okay, great. And a lot of times I feel like people kind of underestimate their skills too. All right, so I asked about Excel because our progress report, you probably saw with the template if you opened it up already, is using Excel. But this is what the final product looks like. So we save them as a PDF. So you'll see, and you are more than welcome to take this and customize it. We have our school logo up here, our information. The date is automatically updated when you open it. We've got some student information, learning coach information, and then this is really the main part, the actual grades. So it tells you their the class name, their teacher's name, when they started, the total points that they've received versus the total points possible. And we have, you guys got the Arrested Development reference, awesome. We have continuous rolling enrollment here at our school. So those start dates and the points received, points possible are helpful for us to look at as we, if we're looking back at these as a teacher or administrator as well. These are really good artifacts for us to have. And then this calculates their average to date and then their letter grade. And we find that both the average and the letter grade are really important to our learning coaches. We also have an area down here that we wanted to have a place for announcements. So for this one here, we asked for learning coaches to check that the phone number is correct. Because as I mentioned, engagement is a big push here, and we often run into not having a correct phone number for families. So we wanted to get that message out. And then we also wanted to let them know who their advisor is. And you'll see in the template that this will automatically populate with the advisor's name and the advisor's email address. So yes, there is an Arrested Development theme you'll see in the template. I didn't want to use our student information, so I made fake students. So there are a lot of resources in preparation that need to take place first. So the template itself, so how we created this template, and you could use a very similar process. You're welcome to use this one and customize it, or really anything that you like. But we began with a withdrawal report template. So then we added that customizable message at the bottom of the template for any school announcements. And what you need to make this template work is the D2L detail report. So we pull the report, we add it as another sheet to the workbook, and then it does have to be sorted by student ID. It will not work correctly if it's not sorted by student ID, so that's an important step. We also use form letters for email. So I've uploaded these into the resources as well, but we use two different form letters. So one for students who are passing all of their classes. Basically said, you're passing all of your classes, great job. There's still time to improve your grade if you'd like, but you're doing, we really appreciate all of your hard work and all of your hard work as a learning coach as well. And then we had another form letter for students who were failing at least one course that really kind of emphasized that there was still time to make a difference. Another piece of the preparation, which would vary per school, was the assignments for staff. So one issue that we ran into is that for a staff member, so yes, those are, I can file transfer those out also at the end of the session, and I'll app share them as well so you can see what they look like. So at our school, I say assignments for staff because this was really, and every time we do it, it's an all hands on deck kind of situation. So teachers did it, intervention specialists did it, administrators did it, our FAST team, they did this as well. And anybody who sends out the progress report by email has to be assigned to the student in TVS. So anybody with an admin account was easy, but as far as teachers, they had to be assigned to to students that they have as a student. So that was a little bit of that was a tricky part for me, was going through and sorting, especially at our high school level, who had what. But if you have homeroom teachers, that could work. If a teacher is just doing this on their own, then it wouldn't be a concern for them either. But it is something to keep in mind and to plan ahead of time. And then we also provided work time for the staff to prepare and send the progress reports. So at our school, because everybody was involved, we were able to split it up, and our school has about, well, we're at over 1,600 students right now. So we're fairly large, well, we're probably a medium-sized school in the grand scheme of things, but we wanted to split it up so that nobody was too overwhelmed. So our teachers typically have about 20 to 30 students that are assigned to them. And it looks like it took about an hour. Some people who are a little bit more familiar with Excel were able to kind of breeze through their 20 to 30 students. But on average, it took about an hour to complete for 30 students. Okay, so I'm going to app share how to use the template here in a second, but I wanted to have the steps listed here in the slides so that you could use them for later. But the process is fairly simple, and which was nice because it was easy to communicate. It really required very little training. I created a video that I sent out to all of our staff that showed how to do the process. Very short video too. I think it was about 2.5 minutes long. So all you have to do is type in the student ID, and the rest of it auto-populates. So that creates the progress report. And then as far as sending it out, you have to save it as a PDF. You do not want to send out the actual Excel workbook because it contains student information in it. So this step is really, really important for protecting student privacy. So you save it as a PDF, which just saves that first sheet. And it looks better too. It definitely looks more formal. And then you email the students. So you use either one of the form letters, depending on their grades. Then you attach the progress report, and then we just clicked File, Message as a Note, so that it remained in TVS as a note for the student, and we could look back at it later. So fairly straightforward process. I'm going to app share the actual template so you guys can see how it's used. And I'm just going to share my whole desktop so that I can go back and forth with the form letters. So give me a green check if you can see my screen. Oh, give me an A if you can see my screen. Give me a B if you can't. All right, all A's, that's what we like. Okay, so this is what the template looks like. Like I said, this is the first sheet, and then we pull in a D2L detail report. And one of the things that I do, I mentioned that I sort it by student ID. It has to be sorted by ID for this to work. But I also go through, just as an extra step of protecting student information, and any like non-essential column here that might have information like special education status, family ID, anything extra, I clear it out, and then I just write null in the column. So you'll see that this is just a D2L report, and any admin can pull this. If you're a teacher, you would want to ask your administrator to pull it for you. You do have to be an administrator to pull it. And then I filled this in with fake information. Okay, so once you plug that in, all you need to do is type in the student ID. So when we send out assignments, we just send out the list of student IDs. So as you type it in, it auto-populates. And again, you'll see that even this message here populates with their advisor information is part of the D2L report. And then I just wrote a formula that we only have 10 advisors. So the formula just looks at if the advisor's last name is this, then then put this as the email address. So like I said, it's very quick and easy. You type in the student ID, and then you would go to save this as a PDF. So save as, you would want to rename it. We usually renamed it as the student's first initial, last name, progress report, and then you would click this drop down to select the PDF. And it's hiding down here at the bottom. And then you would save it, and it would only show up. In fact, I have what that looks like. It would look like this. So you do have to type in each student ID separately, but you don't have to type in grades. So even if you are just doing this not school-wide, but as a teacher, if you have, a lot of our teachers have around 200 students, this would make it much faster. And I'm sure that your administrator would not mind pulling the report for you. All right, and while I'm app sharing, I will show you that these form letters also. So we've used the keywords so that teachers can just copy paste. We really try to streamline this as much as possible. So this is the one for if they're passing all of their classes. So we wanted to remind them that it's important to continue to keep checking the grade book and to have an accurate and up-to-date grade for each class, that these do change. Or while you send them each Friday, yes, I think that something like this would be helpful. Let's see, and then this is the form letter for if they're failing one or more classes, and I can push these out at the end of the presentation also. And we're always trying to push our families to contact their teachers for help on getting caught up or just questions about assignments. All right, so I see we only have about 11 minutes left, so I'm going to go through kind of our results and what we saw from this, and then give some time for questions as well. So some of this is anecdotal. Our teachers and advisors all reported receiving more emails and calls from students and learning coaches following the progress report. We definitely saw an increase in communication. We had students asking their advisors for updated progress reports to show growth to their families. So some students were really excited to be able to show their families, okay, I had this grade, 2 days ago, but look at where I'm at now. Thanks. And Megan's one of our teachers at Insight, and so she's done this firsthand. Our teachers were happy with the increased formal communication. We do have teachers who will send out, informal progress reports, and they really like doing it, and they see, some of these same benefits. But just having it come from the school and looking more official was really kind of a benefit of getting buy-in from our teachers, but also from our families. And then we definitely saw an increase in passing rates. So we've done this twice school-wide. In October, we did this at the end of Block 1, so we have block courses as well. So really at that point, students could really only affect their semester grades when we sent this out the first time. But in a week's time, we did see our passing rate rise from 50.3% to 63.3% in 1 week. And then in December, we decided to do this a few weeks earlier. So we did this the week before winter break so that they would have time to, we had hoped that they would have time to work over the break and get caught up on things. And that time we specifically targeted students that were failing a class. And our passing rate, we only saw a 2% increase during that week, but that was really just over winter break. But we did see, when you look at 2 weeks later, at the end of the block or the semester, our passing rate ended at 68.7%. So it was a much bigger jump. Yep, we essentially do this every 9 weeks. Some of our plans for continuing this are on the next slide, so I'll just jump ahead for a second. We are going to continue to do this each block. We met as a staff 2 weeks ago and planned out what this would look like from Block 3 because we did things a little different in Block 1 and Block 2. So we decided to do this about a week and a half before the end of block so that students could make a change in their block classes as well. And then we're planning to tie this into our advisory model, into our academic excellence framework, which should make staff assignments a lot easier, which I will be very happy for. Right now it is very time intensive for me. Some of the recommendations that I would share from things that we've learned would be planning ahead of time. So again, this last time around, we got all of our teachers together and developed a plan about a month in advance. And then communicate with other departments during planning. So that's how that customized message came to be, is as we were planning, we were talking with our FAST team, and that was something that they had really hoped that we could add to it, and it was something we were able to do. And then also I would suggest, if you don't feel comfortable with Excel or, using the reports, find somebody who is, find an administrator. If you're an administrator, communicate with your regional data manager to see if they can help you with creating your own template or modifying this one to meet your needs. And I saw a question which kind of goes with this slide here. Allison asked if we had any problems with sending through emails. Do we password protect? Told that they could only have first name, last name, and ID, not the student's, last initial, not the student's last name. That is one concern that we had with, sharing too much information, which is why I pull out a lot of that information from from the D2L report, like any extra information. We also have to be very vigilant and double check that we are, selecting the correct student and then selecting their, their correct progress report. So it's not something that you want to rush through. It is something that goes quickly, but definitely something you do not want to rush through. So some of the things that we learned was, we learned that families appreciate increased formal communication. And increased communication does equal increased student engagement and achievement. So things that went well, it was very quick, like I said, and we saw those immediate benefits. What didn't go so well is, that first round, we did have too much student information available and felt that was, a vulnerability for us. And also I mentioned that the staff assignments are very time intensive for me. So although I'm happy to take on that burden if it makes things easier for my teachers. But as far as next year's planning, we are going to work it into our framework to make that a little bit easier. Okay, so we have 5 minutes left. I wanted to leave a little bit of time open, and I think some of you have mentioned this already, but are you doing anything similar? Do you think that this could be beneficial for you or your school? And do you guys see, do you guys see similar benefits and outcomes when you send progress reports out? Yeah, I think informally, and that's really how this started too. I have a government teacher who about every 2 to 3 weeks sends out an informal progress report to her students. Yeah, I know, Robin, that was surprising to me also. I really thought that that with winter break, students might take advantage of that time to get caught up, and they really didn't as much as I thought they would. Okay, so some of the resources that are available, actually these are all of the resources available in the Dropbox, is the PDF example, the template example, which I pushed out, the email templates, which I will also push out in just a moment, and then a copy of this presentation. My contact information, please, please, please feel free to reach out. My email address is there, my phone number. I'm on Twitter. I'm not heavily on Twitter, but feel free to add me. But also feel free to message me through Skype or Yammer too. And then I will leave this slide up as I file transfer out those templates real quick.
All right, Kate, we are so glad that you did this wonderful session. You guys give her a round of applause. She actually gave us some great information about data and how we can get progress reports. And yes, it is definitely a mind-blown activity here. It will help your school. So if anything that you need to have implemented, please feel free to reach out to her. I'm sure that she will give you all of what she has. Today, your wonderful session here will be available in Promising Practices with the Dropbox, and once Promising Practices is over with, Nicole really does a great job with getting everything on our K-12 training site after this is over with. So we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. And if you're here for the next session, you can feel free to stay, and we'll start to get things loaded here in just a minute. Kate, you might want to make sure if you need to have these slides, you could go ahead and copy them for yourself as well.